From KPRC Channel 2, this is Houston Newsmakers with Cambrell Marshall.
Good morning and welcome to Houston Newsmakers, and welcome once again to Dr. Steve Klineberg. And I know on behalf of you, you want to say Happy Mother's Day to Margaret, your bride of almost 55 years, right?
Yes,
close to that.
Indeed.
So she's put up with you for that long. She deserves a Happy Mother's Day. Dr. Steve Klineberg's here, co-director of the Kinder Institute for Urban Research at Rice University. I'm always excited about this. We're going to get into the Houston area survey in just a moment, but let's talk about the evolution of the survey at this point. It started out as a class project many years ago.
That's right, a one-time project.
And it's evolved to this thing where now many components of our community, business leaders and alike, they look at this to try to get impacts on a guidance, if you will, a barometer of what's going on in our community. What's happened in the evolution of this study in terms of the methodology for gathering the information that gives you some sense of security that the information is right?
Yeah, I miss the old days, right? Everyone had landline phones. The phone rings, you answer the phone. No caller ID, no answering machines. So it's a more complicated process today. And also, of course, almost 50% of all households in Houston are cell phone only. So now we have half of our surveys are done by cell phone, other half by landline. And no matter what, you end up oversampling older Anglos and undersampling young Latinos. And so at the end, you weight the data to ensure that the final sample looks as close as possible to what you know to be the parameters of the population in Harris County.
So you go into it knowing you're going to get an oversampling of some things, so that's how you balance it out.
And then you balance it out at the end. But it still works, and you still get a powerful picture of we reach 800 people, and we claim to be able to tell you how 4 million people would have answered our questions within a margin of error of plus or minus 3.5%. So.
And you've done it enough that you have a pretty good sense that
and then what we've been doing is asking identical questions, asking exactly the same wording, the same context in the questionnaire, of samples drawn exactly the same way, asking people, how do you see the world? What's happening in your life? And watching the world change. Houston is at the center of the new America of the 21st century.
One of the things you've always asked too is about the things that are most difficult. What are the biggest problems?
What's the biggest problem?
Shocking. Traffic,
first question
once again.
Used to be the economy, then it was crime, now it's traffic.
And it comes out once again, it's the 4th year that the traffic has been there. Are local leaders who are responsible for dealing with traffic problems, for example, they know the result of this survey. Are they responsive to what your survey is saying year after year that you know of?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it's sort of been adopted by the city. I mean, it's a fascinating kind of opportunity to have a snapshot and you know, one-time survey. You don't know, is this high or low? Is this up or down? Is this good or bad? You're asking the identical questions over time. You can watch us change. You can watch the city evolve and move in new directions.
You know, but when it doesn't, when it stays on that survey near the top or at the top, that kind of lets people know, wait a minute, you're not moving fast enough, perhaps.
We need to find better solutions to traffic. That's right. And the other piece of this is this finding that we ask people, well, if you could live in any kind of neighborhood that you wanted, what would you prefer? And it used to be a 50-50 split, and now 56% say I'd prefer to live in a mixed neighborhood made up of shops, restaurants, and workplaces rather than a single-family residential area.
Which was something that's an evolution over a period of time. It's been rising gradually, has it not?
It's a city reinventing itself, recognizing that the urban sprawl is not the best solution any longer. And younger folks are much less interested in driving than we older folks, right? And more and more of us are empty nesters. The kids have grown up. I work downtown. I love the ballet and the symphony. Do I still want to drive 2 hours every day?
Right.
So there's that whole we're a new kind of people looking for different ways to live.
One of the things I found interesting in this survey about crime, the 3rd year crime was behind traffic and economy in the list of problems. But here's one of the things. You asked this question. If I needed assistance from the police, I would feel comfortable calling them for help. 68.7% overall said they strongly agreed with that. But along racial lines, that's where it really got interesting. 81% of Anglos strongly agreed. 72% of Hispanic immigrants strongly agreed. 67% of U.S.-born Hispanics strongly agreed. And then this big drop-off. 49% of U.S.-born African Americans strongly agreed. That was a huge drop-off. What do you attribute that to?
So the problematic relations, excuse me, between the police and the community is still overwhelmingly within the African American community. What surprised us was that there is so much support and comfort on the part of the Latino immigrants, and that's the big issue these days, right? As we in sanctuary cities, it would be the height of wrong-headedness and counterproductivity to lose that confidence that Latino immigrants have, that the police are, that it's safe to call the police if there's a crime, if there's something that's, the police rely on communities trusting them and feeling comfortable calling them and letting them know what's happening.
And this Sanctuary Cities bill was passed, signed by the governor. Police chiefs and sheriffs were saying, you know what, this is going to erode confidence within those communities. That does not seem to show up at this point so far.
That's right. So again, the beauty of this research project of ours is that we can go back next year and ask that same question and see whether there's been an erosion or whether we've been able to sustain that trust between Acevedo and the mayor. In the sense that no, crime prevention, we need you to trust us. We're not interested in rounding up people who have not committed any crimes. And that's going to be an interesting thing to see.
Let's stay on that immigration topic for a bit. President Trump, from the beginning of his administration, has been trying to make it tougher for immigrants to come to the United States, both legal and illegal at this point. I want to put up some of the information that you put up about attitudes toward immigration. You ask, immigrants to the United States generally contribute more to the American economy than they take. 63% said yes to that. Is that a movement one way or the other?
Yeah, well, there are two areas where we've been watching just systematic changes in attitudes over the years. And one of them is immigration, where every single question we ask, more comfort is being expressed, less antagonism toward immigrants, more of a sense of this is who we are in Houston. The story of Houston was this was a biracial southern city dominated and controlled by white men, and has now become the single most ethnically diverse metropolitan area in the country.
And you also ask, should U.S. should admit the same number of or more legal immigrants in the next 10 years as were admitted in the last 10. That number agreed with the premise was 71%. That's up from 6 years ago, down 1% from last year. So, but that still maintains that people are saying, hey, we're fine with the numbers.
And a big jump from what had been 10 or 15 years earlier. And so that's been fascinating to watch. And a big part of it is that immigration, it's not just this last year, but in the last 4 or 5 years, immigration has basically stopped increasing. And there's been no net increase in immigration. As many Mexicans have left the United States to go back to Mexico than vice versa. And the rise of Mexican and Asian populations is not new immigrants. It's the 100% American kids who are the children of the immigrants of 25 and 30 years ago. And that makes a very different sense of who we are. And can I get along with these folks? And do they speak my language? And that's a big part of this new comfort that cities that are at the forefront of this diversity are feeling much more directly.
You also ask if increasing immigration into this country mostly strengthens rather than threatens American culture. 65% agree. That's up from 46% 6 years ago. And that's another example of how people are really comfortable with that.
Yes.
You also ask if they would favor granting illegal immigrants a path to legal citizenship if they speak English and have no criminal record. That number was this year. I was shocked by this. 79%.
Yes, with all the rhetoric.
Yes. Is that an example of just how Harris County in this area is so much different than what is happening, or should we take this as an example of what may be happening and is not outside of the political?
That's right. The Texas Lyceum poll recently found very similar results for all of Texas. Texas and California, the two most ethnically diverse states in the union, we are moving into this new world. And what's striking, the most interesting thing I think in our surveys is because we've asked these questions over all these years, we can ask, have people changed their minds about these issues? Or are the changes due to the fact that younger folks are coming into the arena of politics and coming of age with very different views? And the answer is, it's generational succession. It's the new young people coming who have grown up in the 90s and 2000s. It's a different world than the world of the 60s and 70s when we older Anglos were coming of age. And there's a law of human nature that says what I'm familiar with feels right and natural, what I'm unfamiliar with feels unnatural and somehow not quite right. And you can see this process emerge as we...
It's one of the things I find fascinating about this. Some of these numbers make it seem like there's peace and harmony among all of us, but there's some clear numbers of discomfort as well in all of this.